بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، بارئ الخلائق أجمعين، باعث الأنبياء والمرسلين، ثم الصلاة والسلام على خير خلقه العبد المؤيد والرسول المسدد، حبيب إله العالمين أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد
وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين وصحابته المنتجبين. قال الله تعالى في كتابه الكريم: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم: قل هل يستوي الذين يعلمون والذين لا يعلمون؟ صدق الله العلي العظيم. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
Every nation, every country, every culture, every religion has scholars that they revere. Study the history of various countries, you will see that they have certain individuals, men of knowledge or women of knowledge, people who have knowledge, that are revered, that are respected, they're remembered, they're honored for what they've achieved, for what they've produced, for what they've given back to the community. For example, in Greece and in Greek culture, they honor Socrates, Plato, Aristotle. In Christianity, they honor and respect Christian theologians and scholars such as St. Augustine, St. Thomas, St. Augustine, and St. Thomas Aquinas. In Judaism, same thing. All over Europe, there were scholars, men of knowledge that were revered and honored till today. When you go to the UK, you will find the House of Shakespeare as a museum. He's revered for his contributions to his society and his community. In Iran, they remember their scholars, such as Khayyam and Al-Khwarizmi and others. Here in the United States of America, we revere certain scholars, such as Thomas Edison and Benjamin Franklin, those who achieved. And almost every culture, every nation, every religion, men of knowledge, and specifically religious knowledge, they're honored and revered and respected. No one disrespects men of knowledge. No one disrespects men of religion. In Islam, we too have men of knowledge. We have esteemed scholars from the times of the Imams up till our time. We also have our share of scholars, men of knowledge, specifically religious knowledge. And these men deserve respect and honor, just like other men of knowledge in other religions and nations and cultures and countries are given respect. Men of knowledge in Islam also deserve respect. And they have been given respect. Because Islam teaches us respect for the ulama, for men of knowledge. And alhamdulillah, our communities have always given respect to ulama. Today, my dear brothers and sisters, today there's a new phenomenon. In the past several years, we've seen a new phenomenon in our communities, specifically the Shi'i community, and specifically online and on social media. We see some youngsters that have picked up extremist ideology from within the Shi'i community and disrespect certain ulama that we have known to be pious men, great men of knowledge, great scholars. Today there's a new phenomenon. These men are being disrespected, humiliated, name called. Men like whom? Like Ayatollah Sayyid Muhammad Baqir al-Sadr. Men like Sayyid al-Khomeini, rahmatullah alayh. Men like Al-Allama al-Tabatabai, the author of Al-Mizan, one of our best books of tafsir. These men, their faith is being questioned, their scholarship is being questioned, and by whom? I wish that the other side was equivalent to them in scholarship. They don't even match 1/10 of these men's knowledge, piety, scholarship, and academic contributions. It is very upsetting that we have to be reminded that Islam teaches us respect for scholars. And today, I'd like to remind myself and our dear brothers and sisters and our listeners online that Islam is a religion that teaches us respect for ulama and scholars. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Today we find there are some extremists. And you know, before we talk about extremists and other schools of thought, usually we say there's extremists in that school of thought and in this school of thought. This country supports extremist ideology and this country supports extremist ideology. We have to be fair. If there is extremist ideology in our school of thought and amongst some members of our school of thought, we also have to pinpoint them. Because that is equality. That is fairness. Today we see a movement among some youth led by so-called scholars that they label well-established, pious scholars as deviants, ضال, مضل, munharif. These are all words used to discredit some of our scholars, some of our maraja that lived in Najaf, that lived in Qom, that lived in Karbala, and who spent their lives studying fiqh and usul and philosophy and other sciences, rajal. They are being discredited. Today, this is a new phenomenon. This did not exist before. The Shia always respected their scholars. They always respected their ulama and their maraja. Today we see a new phenomenon. There's a new phenomenon as well, to label some scholars and maraja as agents, foreign agents. This scholar works for this country, or is a spy for that country. He works for the queen, he works for the king, and so on and so forth. This is a shame. We discredit each other. We attack one another. Scholars within each other. This is a problem that needs to be discussed, and we need to find solutions. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
When we read the Quran, we see that the Quran gives a lot of respect to ulama. قُلْ هَلْ يَسْتَوِي الَّذِينَ يَعْلَمُونَ وَالَّذِينَ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ. Say, are those that know equal to those who do not know? Are they equal? Of course they're not. They're not equal. They are not equal in the eyes of Allah. They are not equal in the eyes of the people. They are not equal in the eyes of angels. Those who know have a higher status. In another verse, يَرْفَعِ اللَّهُ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا مِنْكُمْ وَالَّذِينَ أُوتُوا الْعِلْمَ دَرَجَاتٍ. Allah raises those who have faith, number one, and have knowledge from amongst you. يَرْفَعِ اللَّهُ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا مِنْكُمْ وَالَّذِينَ أُوتُوا الْعِلْمَ دَرَجَاتٍ. He raises them in their levels. Scholars have a higher level. They deserve respect. They deserve honor. In a prophetic narration, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam,
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
He says, علماء أمتي خير من أنبياء بني إسرائيل. The scholars of my ummah, of my nation, there's two versions to the hadith. In one version, he says they are equal to the prophets of Bani Israel. In another version, he says the scholars of my ummah are greater than the prophets of Bani Israel. They are greater than the prophets of Bani Israel. In another narration, he states Al-ulama warathatul anbiya. Scholars are the heirs of prophets. What did they inherit? They did not inherit from them wealth or lands or power or money. They inherited from them knowledge, faith, and piety. When you look at a scholar, look at him with the eyes knowing that he's an heir of prophets. He's a descendant of prophets. He might not be a sayyid. He might not wear a black turban. But because he's a alim, he's a scholar, he represents prophets and he represents imams in what he has of knowledge. And another narration, مِدَادُ الْعُلَمَاء خَيْرٌ مِّن دِمَاءِ الشُّهَدَاء. The ink that is used by scholars to write books and write journals and write articles is more valuable than the blood of martyrs. The blood of martyrs that saves Islam and saves the lives of Muslims. Yet the ink of scholars is more valuable than the blood of martyrs. And finally, there are so many narrations and ahadith about the virtue of scholars and ulama. One narration says, النظر إلى وجه العالم عبادة. To look at the face of a scholar is worship of its own. It's worship. The same way that prayer is worship, reciting Quran is worship, reciting Dua Kumail and Dua al-Iftitah and going to Hajj and Umrah as a form of worship, looking at the face of a scholar. He who reminds you of Allah, he who makes you closer to Allah Azza wa Jal is a form of worship. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Now why, when we speak of scholars and ulama and we say that they need to be respected, not to be disrespected the way that we see today, especially on social media, they deserve respect and honor and dignity. Why? Just because he's a scholar? Just because a scholar read a few books and studied, he deserves respect? No, it's more than that. When we read the history of our scholars, beginning with a Shaykh al-Saduq, and a Shaykh al-Mufid, and a Shaykh al-Tusi, these scholars produced and achieved, and they had to go through so much hardships to deliver Islam and the school of thought of Ahlul Bayt to me and to you. A Shaykh al-Tusi, one of our greatest scholars and jurists and theologians. He was a man of several sciences. He was an expert on jurisprudence, legal theory, tafsir, linguistics, Rajal, biography. Indeed, he was a great scholar. Shaykh al-Tusi was so accomplished that the Abbasi Caliph recognized him for his knowledge. He gave him the chair to study. It was a symbolic chair given by the Khalifa to teach, to sit in front of people and to teach. And he had this chair without any competition. No one from other schools of thought were able to compete with a Shaykh al-Tusi. It was a great pride for us. Yet this chair was broken. There was sectarian violence at the time in Baghdad. Subhanallah, 14 centuries later, 12 centuries later, the same sectarian violence still exists in Baghdad. That same violence led to breaking the chair of a Shaykh al-Tusi, burning his library, burning his house. A Shaykh al-Tusi was forced to flee from Baghdad to Najaf. Najaf was a desert. No one lived in Najaf. Only a couple of families. Shaykh al-Tusi moved to Najaf and he established Al-Hawza Al-Ilmiya, the Islamic seminary in Najaf. He was the first to move to Najaf as a scholar and establish the Islamic seminary. It wasn't easy. We read about these people, we read about these names, but we don't know how a Shaykh al-Tusi became a Shaykh al-Tusi. It was through difficulty. He was persecuted. He was oppressed, he was harmed, he was almost killed. That is why his name lives till today, and that is why we respect him. We have other scholars, Al-Muhaqqiq Al-Hilli, Al-Allama Al-Hilli. These are great scholars that achieved, that worked hard. Al-Allama Al-Hilli was only 16 years old. How many teenagers do we have in our majlis today? Al-Allama Al-Hilli was 16 years old. He was able to convert the Shah of Iran, Shah Khuda Banda, and the entire country of Iran from Sunnism to Shi'ism by using his wit and by using his knowledge. This young man, Al-Allama Al-Hilli, was able to change the course of history. Iran, this great country, used to be all Sunni. In fact, it was the capital of Sunnism. Isfahan, Kashan, Tabriz, these cities, they had extremist Sunnis. Today, it's a country for Shi'ism. It spreads Shi'ism all across the globe. Why? Because of one man, Al-Allama Al-Hilli. At the age of 16, he went to Iran due to a story you could look up, you could research, and he got Shah Khuda Banda to convert from Sunnism to Shi'ism, and Shah Khuda Banda got his citizens to convert into Shi'ism. As our scholars achieved and produced and contributed. Al-Shahid Al-Awwal, Al-Shahid Al-Thani. These are two of our greatest scholars that wrote some of the best masterpieces in fiqh. Al-Lum'ah and Sharh Al-Lum'ah. Yet these scholars were killed. Al-Shahid Al-Awwal was killed in the worst sort of death. He was beheaded. His body was cut into pieces. He was burnt. And his ashes were scattered. Al-Shahid Al-Thani was brought from Lebanon. He was in Lebanon, in Jabal Amir. He was brought to Istanbul during the times of Sultan Sulaiman, the Magnificent, the famous Sultan Sulaiman from the Ottoman Empire. He was brought to his capital and he was accused of Shi'ism. He said, I'm a Shafi'i. He practiced taqiyya in order to save his life. Taqiyya is valid in order to save your life. He said, no, I'm a Shafi'i. I'm not a Shi'i. They told him, no, you're a Shi'i. Why did he not say he's a Shi'i? Because to say you're a Shi'i was a criminal offense at the time, during the Ottoman Empire. He was proven guilty of being a Shi'i. He was killed. He was beheaded. And he's buried in Istanbul. Today in Istanbul, if you ever go for a vacation, if you go for sightseeing, Al-Shahid Al-Thani, who's one of our greatest scholars, is buried in Istanbul. Our youth don't know this. Many of us don't know this. What our scholars had to go through, what they achieved, what they contributed. They sacrificed their lives. They were persecuted. They were exiled. Their families were hurt. Their families were persecuted. Al-Shahid Al-Awwal, not just was he a scholar himself, his daughter was a scholar. His daughter, Fatima Sitt al-Mashayikh, was a mujtahid. There were women that referred to her. His wife, Shahid Al-Awwal's wife, Ali, she was a mujtahid. Females would refer to them. These scholars were pious men. They were not only men of knowledge, but their entire families were as well. Their daughters, their sons, their wives. We have to revere these scholars. We have to remember them. Our scholars are the ones that preserved Islam. They are the ones that preserved the school of Ta'at Ahl Bayt. Tonight, me and you, we sit here in Allentown during the blessed month of Ramadan, during these beautiful nights. We commemorate the month of Ramadan and we celebrate the month of Ramadan. Today, me and you, we have faith and we are followers of Ahl Bayt because of these scholars. Because of their noble blood. Because of their noble ink. Because of what they contributed and did for us. They deserve respect and honor. If we don't celebrate their lives, At least we should not condemn them and criticize them and disrespect them. As we see what is happening today in some Shi'i communities, whether it is here in the United States or in the UK or in the Netherlands or in the Middle East, there's a movement. There are some individuals, unfortunately, that are encouraging our youth to criticize maraja and to criticize scholars and to question their faith. This scholar does not have faith. This scholar believes in philosophy. He's not a mu'min. Who are you to judge and to say this scholar is a mu'min and this scholar is not a mu'min? This scholar was a jurist and this scholar is not a jurist. This scholar is a foreign agent and this scholar is not a foreign agent. Who are you? Who are we to judge these brilliant scholars? During the days of Saddam Hussein in Iraq, Saddam killed tens of mujtahids. Tens of mujtahids. From the family of Al-Hakim, from the family of Bahr al-Ulum. And one of those scholars that endured the prison of Saddam until today, we don't know what happened to him, is my own grandfather, Ayatollah Sayyid Muhammad Sadiq al Qazwini. He was 8 years old. He had no political activities. He had nothing to do with the government. He was taken at the age of 80. He was arrested in the year 1980. And he was 8 years old. The same night that Al-Shaheed Sayyid Muhammad Baqir al-Sadr was taken in Najaf, my grandfather was taken in Karbala. Until today, we don't know what happened to him. When did he die? Where did he die? Where is he buried? We don't know. It is because of these mujtahids, these scholars that sacrificed their lives for Islam and for the sake of Ahlul Bayt, that you and I today, we are sitting here celebrating Islam, practicing our faith freely. We're living off of their achievements. Sallallahu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. You know, what is our problem with Wahhabism? What is our number one problem with Wahhabis today? Our number one problem with Wahhabis is that they are takfiris. They perform takfir. They say we are the only Muslims and everyone else is a what? A kafir. Right? Many of you have been to Mecca and Medina. Does anyone dare kiss the shrine of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam or some of the doors? Does anyone dare go next to the graves of the 4 Imams in Baqi' and try to grab some of the sand? No, because immediately you will hear 2 words: shirk and bid'ah. Shirk, bid'ah. This is kufr. If you ask a Wahhabi who is a Muslim, he'll say, only me. Only me and people like me. Wahhabis. Shi'as are kafir. Sufis are kafir. Those who celebrate the birthday of Rasulullah are kafir. Everyone's a kafir except them. Wow. Today we have some Shia, unfortunately they have such sort of mentality. This marja' is a Batri. His faith is not accepted. This marja' he believes in philosophy. His faith is rejected. That marja' he believes in rijal and the science of biographies. He's not a mujtahid. No one, none of these maraja', only me and the marja' that I follow, only 2 maraja'. The others are all, they're not mujtahids, they're not faithful, they're not pious, they're not Muslim. Today we have this problem. And it's spreading like wildfire among some youth. Youth that are not educated. Youth that have not grown under the minbar. They're being affected by this sort of Wahhabi Shi'i mentality. That this scholar is wrong, this scholar is wrong, this scholar... Why? Our scholars deserve respect. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. When you see someone disrespecting a scholar, name-calling, calling him a foreign agent, or a deviant, or a dhal, mudil, and so on and so forth. Inna amruhu murid. These are all Arabic expressions to underscore and discredit some scholars. No, when a person is name-calling, know that this person has no argument. This person has no argument. Has no logical argument. If you disagree with me, tell me, what is your argument? What is it that you disagree with me? If you start name calling me, that means you can't argue with me. You can't put up with my argument. If there's an idea that you disagree with, put up another idea. If there's a theology, if there's an ideology that you disagree with, match it. Try to refute it. Don't name call. You disagree with one scholar, try to refute him. Say, I disagree with this person for the following reasons. 1, 2, 3, 4, 10, 20. You don't need to name call. We don't need to resort to name calling, using foul language and discrediting. When a person uses foul language, know that he has no argument. He has no basis. Also, those who discredit ulama and maraja, you know what they're doing? They're serving the enemy. They're serving the enemy. When you discredit this marja and that marja, the maraja and Qom and the maraja and Najaf and the maraja and Karbala, and you've disrespected everyone, you've ridiculed everyone, you've criticized everyone, and I wish that it was constructive criticism. No. Unfortunately, we don't have constructive criticism among these extremists that we see today in this new phenomenon. No. They're very harsh, they're very disrespectful. When they disrespect all the ulama, you know what they're doing? They're serving the enemy. Wahhabis look at us and they rejoice. If Wahhabis want to spend millions of dollars to discredit our ulama, they won't do a job like these extremists who disrespect the ulama. Wahhabis rejoice. You know, in the Middle East, there's several channels, satellite channels. One is called Wasal. Another is called Safa. These countries are supported by specific countries that we will not mention that support Wahhabi ideology, right? What they do is they pick on Shi'i ulama and Shi'i scholars. They say, look at this scholar. Look at what he says. Look at what that scholar, look at his mistakes. You know who produces for them these clips on Shi'i ulama? Unfortunately, sometimes it's from our own community. Because we have certain extremists that go around picking on ulama, they produce good content for these channels. They do the job for Wahhabis. Isn't this a shame? That we make others laugh at us and rejoice at our disunity when we attack one another? صلى على محمد وآل محمد.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
We believe, we the followers of Ahlul Bayt, as we talked about yesterday, we believe that the door of ijtihad is open. The door of ijtihad is open. That means I can come and do my research and reach certain conclusions. You will come to Hawza, you will do your own research, and you will reach another conclusion. No two people will reach the same conclusion. It's very rare to reach the same exact conclusion with the same steps. Having the door of ijtihad open means that it is okay to disagree. It is okay to have various opinions. That is why we have so many maraja. Where do you find differences of opinion the most? In Hajj. I taught a course on Hajj at the Islamic seminary, and I will tell you that the place where scholars disagree the most is Hajj. Because there's so many topics, there's so many issues in Hajj, and you will see scholars disagree. One scholar says that you can stone the jamarat from the first, you only are allowed to stone the jamarat from the first floor. Another scholar says you could do it from the second floor. One marja' will say you can only perform tawaf around the Kaaba from the first floor. Another will say you could do it on the second floor. And that's okay. And that is fine for them to disagree. That is the purpose of ijtihad. The purpose of ijtihad is to disagree. I will reach some conclusions, you will reach another conclusion. But for me, if I disagree with you Does that give you the right to disrespect me and to discredit me just because I reached a different conclusion? That does not give you the right to disrespect. There's a marja' that has an opinion. The door of ijtihad entitled him to that opinion. Because we followers of Ahlul Bayt believe that the door of ijtihad is open, that marja' reached a specific conclusion. That doesn't give you the right to disrespect him and discredit him and say that he's not a scholar and discredit his scholarship. No, he's entitled to his opinion. We have to learn to disagree. Unfortunately, till today, we the followers of Ahlul Bayt, we have not learned to disagree. Until we learn to disagree, that I am entitled to my opinion and you are entitled to your opinion, and that is fine. Until we learn that, we'll face a lot of problems. We have to learn to disagree. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. I conclude by talking about the ethics of disagreement in the Quran. Just because you disagree with someone, their political theories, their theory on imamah, on wilaya, on asma, or you might disagree with them on fiqh, it doesn't mean that you should disrespect him. You shouldn't disrespect that scholar just because he disagrees with you or he disagrees with your manhaj. He's entitled to his opinion. The Quran is the best example of how we should disagree with one another. See, the Quran tells Rasulullah, says, Ya Rasulullah, when you speak to the non-believers, don't disrespect them. No. قُلْ يَا أَيُّهَا الْكَافِرُونَ لَا أَعْبُدُ مَا تَعْبُدُونَ وَلَا أَنْتُمْ عَابِدُونَ مَا أَعْبُدُ. All you non-believers, I do not worship that which you worship. And you do not worship that which I worship. And I will not worship in the future. I will not worship that which you worship. And you will not worship that which I worship. You have your faith, and I have mine. You have your religion, and I have mine. قُلْ يَا أَيُّهَا الْكَافِرُونَ لَا أَعْبُدُ مَا تَعْبُدُونَ وَلَا أَنْتُمْ عَابِدُونَ مَا أَعْبُدُ وَلَا أَنَا عَابِدٌ مَا عَبَدتُّمْ وَلَا أَنْتُمْ عَابِدُونَ مَا أَعْبُدُ لَكُمْ دِينُكُمْ وَلِيَ دِينِ. I have my religion, and you have yours. Rasulullah did not condemn them, did not disrespect them, did not use foul language. Very polite. These are the ethics of disagreement and the Quran. When he speaks to the people of the book, he doesn't condemn them, he doesn't ridicule them, that you worship Jesus, that you claim Jesus is God, you do this, you do that. No. The Quran tells Rasulullah to discuss your commonalities first, not your differences. This is something that we need to learn. When we have discussions with those that we disagree with, let's first begin with what we have in common, not that which we disagree on. قُلْ يَا أَهْلَ الْكِتَابِ تَعَالَوْا إِلَى كَلِمَةٍ سَوَاءٍ بَيْنَنَا وَبَيْنَكُمْ أَلَّا نَعْبُدَ إِلَّا اللَّهِ. Oh, people of the book, come. Let's agree to not worship only God. Because we Muslims, we only accept one God, and you Christians and Jews, you only accept one God. Begin with what you have in common, not with what you have, not what you disagree on. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sends Musa and Fir'aun, Musa and Harun to Fir'aun. He says, go to him. This person is claiming to be not a God, the God of gods. Go to him, however, speak to him calmly. اذهبا إلى فرعون إنه طغى فقولا له قولا لينا. Speak to him softly. This is to Fir'aun. Fir'aun, Musa and Harun are ordered to speak to him softly and gently. But look at us. When we disagree with each other, we speak with each other harshly, and we use foul language, and we use the harshest language. Yet Allah is telling Musa to speak gently and softly to Fir'aun. And so on. Look in the Quran and you will find so many verses that teach us how to disagree with one another. You're entitled to an opinion, that's fine.
And I'm entitled to my opinion. But that doesn't give me the right to disrespect you and discredit you and say that you're not a scholar. This is a problem, my dear friends, that we need to solve and we need to pay attention. And I hope that our youth in our communities, inshallah, this problem does not exist in this community. But it does exist in other communities. And it's contagious. And it spreads from one community to another. Inshallah, we will wake up and realize that Islam teaches us respect for ulama and scholars. And we do not have the right to disrespect them and discredit them. Constructive criticism, yes. If you have constructive criticism, absolutely. But this does not give you the right to disrespect. I'll conclude with the following. In Hawza, in our traditional books, for example, the book of Al-Makasib, Business Transactions, by Al-Shaykh Murtada Al-Ansari, which was written over 200 years ago. Al-Shaykh Al-Ansari, this is a very academic, intellectual book on business transactions, on commerce, the laws of commerce in Islam. When he mentions an opinion of a scholar, sometimes he does not mention his name. Because he's going to refute his opinions, he's afraid that if he mentions his name, it might be disrespectful to him. He might be doing injustice to that scholar. So he does not even mention his name. He says, and there's an opinion that says so and so, but this opinion can be refuted by 1, 2, 3, and 4. He does not even mention his name. These were our scholars in the past. Our scholars in the past, they taught us how to respect one another, not to humiliate one another. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to guide us to the right path and to give us the tawfiq to respect our scholars and to give them the respect that they deserve. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma inni as'aluka an taj'ala fima taqdi wa tuqaddar. This is one of the du'as of the month of Ramadan. Allahumma inni as'aluka an taj'ala fima taqdi wa tuqaddar. أن تطيل عمري أسألك أن تجعل فيما تقضي وتقدر في الأمر المحتوم من الأمر الحكيم من القضاء الذي لا يرد ولا يبدل أن تكتبنا من حجاج بيتك الحرام المبرور حجهم المشكور سعيهم المغفور ذنوبهم المكفر عنهم سيئاتهم وأن تجعل فيما تقضي وتقدر أن تطيل عمري في خير وعافية وتوسع في رزقي وتجعلني ممن تنتصر به لدينك ولا تستبدل بي غيري. أعوذ بجلال وجهك الكريم أن ينقضي عني شهر رمضان أو يطلع الفجر من ليلتي هذه ولك قبلي تبعة أو ذنب تعذبني عليه ولأرواح المؤمنين والمؤمنات والعلماء والشهداء. نقرأ سورة الفاتحة مع الصلوات.